Sobre el humo blanco.
Mi nombre es Jeremy
My name is Jeremy,
y me gustaría decir a todos
and
ustedes una
I want to
historia.
tell you a story.
Es una historia de una cerveza que construyó un puente
It is a
entre
story
las
of a beer
culturas
that built
y
a bridge
familia.
between cultures and family. I am a home brewer and an aficionado of good beer and food. A little over a year ago, I came across a craft beer from Valencia, Spain, El Boquerón, the anchovy. The label on the front was simple, restrained, even boring except for the claim that it was made with Mediterranean sea water. I tasted lightly toasted malt, restrained hops, and complexities of citrus, herbs, and a hint of the sea. It was subtle, but full of promise, like a girl who didn't capture your eye at first, but after a date you know she's the one. This became my clarion call. With a trip to Spain on my horizon, I now had a new mission: to search for and learn about the craft beer culture in Spain. In his book, Tasting Beer, Randy Mosher talks about the wine line, below which wine is dominant, and above which beer is prevalent. Since Spain sits squarely in the Iberian Peninsula, far below the wine line, this wasn't going to be easy. First, I had to pack the necessary items: board shorts, comfortable shoes, and in case of emergency, one Band-Aid. Then we boarded a big jet plane.
There are two stories to this airplane. Here, let's look again. Right there.
After we landed, the adventure truly began. First, we needed tapas, sangria, and beer. Any beer. This was a land of culinary tradition and innovation: sangria, wine, and like the US, large macro breweries that brew light, refreshing lager. Spain is purported to be among the top beer exporting countries in Europe, which include brands such as Mao, San Miguel, Alhambra, Estrella Galicia, and Estrella Damm, which is damn good beer. There are even crafty variations as well. All of it is intended to pair well with Spanish food. Large, multi-story grocery stores were filled with macro brews and well-known European brands, and even beers that some Oregonians would find interesting. I found clues to the Spaniards' love of beer everywhere, including breakfast. The hotel rooms even had beer sinks in the bathrooms. I figured a Spanish monastery would be a good place to start searching for craft beer. Despite a thorough search, praying to the Black Madonna, and watching my wife levitate, I still turned up thirsty. Then we found this literal hole in the wall with amazing food and a wonderful, crafty macro brew. I followed the group to a winery, which piqued my interest a little bit, but impressed most of all by a handsome Spanish winemaker named Inigo, was my wife. We visited the necessary tourist attractions, blah blah, but my focus was singular and still unsated. I continued my search for true craft beer in Spain. I wanted to find more than sausage and San Miguel, tortilla and dame limon, or mussels and chimay. Maybe it was the beer I had thus far, but part of me just wanted to go home. But I was so close, I could almost taste it. Thanks to a tip from Spanish beer importer Austin Clark from Sublime Imports, I found these little gems at a nearby market. Las Cibeles is one of the biggest microbreweries out of Madrid. Even though I knew true craft beer in Barcelona existed, it had evaded me. My only choice was to eat, drink, and be happy before we moved on. We flew to the island of Mallorca off the shores of Barcelona in the Mediterranean Sea. It was small and I had little hope of finding craft brew there. No craft breweries out there. No matter where we went, still we found good food. And while the others found solace in sangria, I did the best I could with some fairly local imports. Until one day, we found Soyer. Soyer was a 90s beer commercial where the town suddenly opened up to gorgeous beaches in front of a sea of restaurants. There were giant boats, a trolley that took you from one end to the other, and young, beautiful, topless women on stand-up paddleboards. That's me looking at the boats. But when I thought Soyer couldn't be any more perfect, that's when I found them. True, local, microbrewed craft beers. With yeast still in the bottle. I was happy, but eventually it was time to leave this paradise and make our way into the interior. Into Madrid. Madrid was a reunion of family and of culture. As the culture of craft beer became more evident, one could tell that the myriad cultures of Madrid were often brought together with excellent beer. Our American and Spanish family gathered at a well-known cerveceria called Nacho Beer. It was a veritable celebration of good beer. Then, one day, in the Corte Inglés, the aisles parted, the choir boys sang, and there it was, between the Trappist ale and the Negro Modelo. Boquerón. Maybe I was just lucky. But now I could return home happy. Since returning stateside, I've discovered much more about the craft beer movement in Spain. Boquerón and its fellow crafties were not meant to stand alone. Many are considered gastro ales, or food pairing beers, and were crafted to pair with food and create an experience. The maturity of the Spanish craft beer movement appears to take its place as if it had always been there. If you love craft beer and love to travel, now is the time to visit Spain. And it's just going to get better.